All right, so you've given us quite a collection of resources here, all about sound healing. Um, it seems like you're really interested in, well, how sound can impact well-being, right? Like
Yeah.
from, ancient practices all the way to what modern science is discovering.
Yeah, and what's really got me intrigued is your focus on vibration. I mean, you've got sources here about like the physics of sound waves and then others talking about the human body as this resonating instrument. It's fascinating.
It's kind of like suddenly realizing, oh, wow, there's this whole other layer of reality that we experience constantly through sound. We don't always think about it consciously, right?
It's
I mean,
true.
we all kind of get that, yeah, everything vibrates, but these sources, they don't stop there. They're suggesting these vibrations are like essential to our health, to our well-being.
Right. And it's not a new idea either. Many cultures, going way back, they recognize this deep connection between sound and well-being. Like, take the ancient Greeks, for instance.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
They didn't just, like, enjoy listening to music for fun. Right? They built entire healing temples where music was the main therapeutic tool.
Wow.
Can you imagine going to, like, a hospital today, and instead of getting medicine, you're prescribed specific melodies and rhythms to bring your body and mind back into balance?
Now, that's what I call a holistic approach. And speaking of ancient wisdom, one name that keeps popping up in these sources is Pythagoras. And I'll be honest, before this deep dive, Pythagoras to me, well, it meant triangles, not sound healing.
Well, get ready, because Pythagoras wasn't just a math whiz. He was, like, deeply into the power of sound.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. He actually believed that the mathematical ratios you find in music, they were the key to understanding the entire universe.
Wow.
Yeah. Like, he built this instrument called the monochord. Basically, picture a single string stretched over a soundboard.
Oh, I'm picturing it.
And by dividing that string into specific ratios, he basically unlocked the secrets of musical harmony.
So he's the one who figured out octaves and perfect fifths and all that. But how does that translate to, like, healing?
Well, see, Pythagoras believed these musical ratios weren't just some abstract ideas. He thought they reflected a divine harmony that exists in literally everything.
Okay.
So his theory was, by understanding and then recreating these ratios, we could actually harmonize ourselves with the universe.
Huh.
And in doing so, we achieve a state of health and well-being. This idea that, we're like little microcosms of the bigger macrocosm, it's an idea you see across tons of ancient traditions, and it seems like you're really drawn to exploring this connection through sound.
It definitely makes the idea of resonance even more, well, resonant. It's not just about, a tuning fork making another one vibrate. It's about how our bodies, even our emotions, are constantly being influenced by the frequencies all around us.
Exactly. It's like one of your sources mentions Dr. Thompson. He used sound waves to actually help realign people's vertebrae. Yeah, he found that specific tones could, like, gently coax the bones back into place. It's amazing. It really underscores that tangible physical impact sound can have.
So if we're like instruments always interacting with this world of vibrations, then understanding these harmonics, it becomes pretty important. Although I have to admit, it's always felt a bit, I don't know, technical to me.
Okay, well, think of it this way. Imagine a single note, right? But it's played on a flute. Now, imagine that same note played on, say, a guitar. They're both producing that same fundamental frequency, but they sound totally different, right?
Totally.
That's the harmonics.
Oh, so that's what gives each sound its like unique texture and color, the harmonics.
Exactly. They're like the secret ingredients. They add that depth, that richness, the complexity, and just like, different spices can make a million different flavors. Different combinations of harmonics. They can create this whole spectrum of effects, physically, emotionally, you name it.
Wow. So every time we hear a sound, whether it's a wave crashing or a bee buzzing or an amazing piece of music, we're actually experiencing this complex interaction of harmonics.
Absolutely. And our bodies, they're incredibly sensitive to those subtle variations. And that's where things get really, really interesting when we start to look at how specific sounds with their own like unique harmonic signature might actually be used to influence our well-being.
This is making me think about the human voice so differently now. It's not just about the words we speak, right? It's like we're carrying around these incredible instruments capable of generating this whole range of harmonics. And you've brought up all these sources about like toning and chanting as ancient healing practices.
Yeah, and what's so fascinating is how these practices, they pop up across cultures all over the world. You have Tibetan monks, right, chanting deep within these monasteries, and then you have Mongolian nomads creating these like otherworldly overtone melodies out on these vast steppes. Aboriginal elders playing didgeridoos that almost sound like the heartbeat of the earth. It's like they all tapped into this idea of the voice as a tool for healing, for transformation.
It's like, I don't know, like we've forgotten this universal language or something, but it's there, like hardwired into our very biology.
Right. And just like with any language, it's not just about the sounds themselves, but the intention behind them. One of your sources, it actually says frequency plus intention equals healing.
It's true. Like, think about those Tibetan monks who can create multiple tones at once. Those overtone singers, it's incredible. The level of focus, of intention they bring to their practice.
Like the Tibetan One voice chord.
Yeah, exactly.
It takes years of dedicated practice for them to master that technique. They're adjusting the shape of their mouths, using these specific breathing techniques. It's amazing. They isolate and amplify individual harmonics, so they're creating a chorus, essentially, within their own body. Wow. And there are studies showing this practice actually has measurable effects, not just on the monks themselves, but even on the surrounding environment.
So it's about more than just making sounds. It's about creating these specific vibrations with a clear purpose, right? Whether it's to like promote healing or to help someone relax or even to connect with something bigger than themselves.
Exactly. And the voice is so powerful for this because it's so connected to everything. To our breath, our emotions, our, some would even say our spiritual essence. It's like we're weaving intention directly into the fabric of the sound itself.
This reminds me of something else we came across about how specific vowel sounds actually resonate with different chakras in the body. It's like, I don't know, like we can fine-tune our own energy systems using our voices.
Yeah, so the chakras, for those listening who don't know, they're like these energy centers located along the spine.
Right.
And each one is associated with different organs, emotions, aspects of who we are. And the idea is that each chakra vibrates at a specific frequency. So by toning particular vowel sounds, we can help bring those energies back into balance, into harmony.
Okay, I'm following you. So like, give me an example.
Sure. So the root chakra, for instance.
Yeah.
It's at the base of the spine, and it's associated with, feeling grounded, secure, stable.
Okay.
And it's said to resonate with that sound.
Right. So if someone was feeling anxious, maybe ungrounded, toning that sound could potentially help balance that root chakra, bring a sense of stability.
Exactly. It's like a gentle sonic massage for that energy center, helping it get back to that natural state of harmony. And what's really cool is you don't need to be like an expert in sound healing or chakras to experience this. Our bodies, they have this innate wisdom. They also know what frequencies they need.
That's encouraging. It seems like, this deep dive is really showing us how sound can be this tool for self-healing, for exploration. But it's not all like ancient techniques and practices, right? You included some pretty fascinating stuff about modern sound healing technologies too.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, sound healing has really taken off in recent years. There are all these new technologies now that let us measure, manipulate, apply sound frequencies with such incredible precision. It's pretty amazing.
Okay, so we've gone from like ancient sound healing traditions to these cutting edge technologies. But now let's bring it all back down to earth a little. What does this actually look like for the listener, for someone who wants to try this stuff out?
It's funny. One of the simplest but also most powerful sound healing tools is something we all have, our own voice.
Really? So like just humming can have a therapeutic effect?
You'd be surprised. Humming, it creates this really rich tapestry of vibrations, and they resonate throughout your whole body. It's like giving yourself a gentle internal massage.
And because it's your own voice, it's already like perfectly in tune with you, right? Your own unique vibration.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. A lot of these sources mention combining humming with like conscious breathing. Is that to like boost the effect or something?
Exactly. Breathing consciously, it gets more oxygen flowing, helps quiet the mind, so you're more receptive to the healing. When you combine that with humming, it's like, well, you're bringing together these two powerful forces.
Yeah, I can see that. One source even connects humming to stimulating the pineal gland, that little gland that's supposed to be all about like intuition and spiritual insights.
Right. Yeah, there's actually a lot of research now looking into how sound, how vibration affect the pineal gland. We need more research for sure, but some studies are suggesting that certain frequencies really can stimulate it, which could, enhance its function.
That's wild. Something so simple like humming could have such a big impact. But what about those other tools? Like the singing bowls and chanting and all that. Are those more for like people who already know what they're doing?
Not necessarily. Singing bowls, for example, they're so easy to use. You just strike the bowl with that little mallet, and it creates this incredibly rich, resonant tone. Really relaxing.
I can imagine that.
Yeah, a lot of people find those sounds help to quiet the mind, release tension, just a real sense of peace and well-being.
Okay, and then there's chanting, which seems to be everywhere across so many different cultures and traditions.
Chanting is really interesting. You've got the sound, of course, but then you layer on intention, and often it involves sacred texts or mantras. That repetition of the sounds, of the phrases, it can be super meditative, almost like you're, I don't know, weaving this sonic tapestry.
Yeah.
That allows your mind to just quiet down and become more contemplative.
It does seem like there's just this whole world of sound healing out there waiting to be explored, from something as simple as humming to these more, I don't know, structured techniques. So for someone just starting out on their like sonic journey, what advice would you give them?
I'd say approach it with curiosity. Be open to trying different things. There's really no right or wrong way to do this. Play around with different sounds, different techniques, different tools. See what feels good, what resonates with you personally. Pay attention to how different sounds make you feel. Does one tone totally relax you? Does another one make you feel energized? Your body's the best guide.
So it's all about tuning in, listening to that inner wisdom, and figuring out what feels right.
Exactly. It's a journey. You
Wow.
know, and the deeper you go into this world of sound healing, the more you might be surprised by what you discover. Not just about your health, your well-being, but about yourself, about how everything is connected.
That's a beautiful thought. Well, it feels like we've only just dipped our toes into this incredible world of sound healing. A huge thank you to all of you for listening, and a special thanks to you for being our guide on this fascinating deep dive.
It's been my pleasure.